Good evening. It's time to read from Isaiah and First Peter once again for our daily digest, daily office digest. And we have a prophecy from Isaiah about God's servant, mine elect, in whom my soul delighteth. This is Jesus Christ, right? I have put my spirit upon him. He shall bring judgment to the Gentiles, right? And he's not going to be arrogant and try to draw attention to himself. He's going to be gentle towards those who are bruised and burning, beaten up. He's gentle with those that need gentleness. I think we talked about some of this in another daily office digest, so I won't want to repeat what I've already said. But it's interesting that it's this very powerful God that's also merciful to the very weak. That's how God is, and that's so good. Um, he's able to create the heavens and the earth, and then also delight in little things, little people, and to heal. He even brings light not only to his own people, Israel, but also to the Gentiles, setting us free, right? Opening our eyes, bringing us out of the prison, particularly the prison of Sheol, of Hades, of death. All right, the darkness of the prison house, of darkness and death put together. He's going to deliver us from that. And these are going to be, a new thing, the new order of things, new data, new facts, new developments, which is good news. Peter. So Peter has already established that we're strangers and pilgrims. We're wandering through the wilderness being this rebellious world. So abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul. The flesh. So, soul is important, right? Salvation of the soul is important. And the things that will damage the soul are fleshly lusts. That's not a Gnostic sort of idea where the material stuff is bad. It's the idea of fallen sinfulness being this, and the desires of lusting after things to satisfy yourself, to sate yourself selfishly. Have your conversation, again, not just your talk, but your actions, your interactions with others, honest among the Gentiles. So Gentiles being non-believing Gentiles, and even just non-believers, when they see the way you act together, be honest, right? If you're dishonest, then the gospel is going to be besmirched. Christ's testimony will be harmed by the way you act. Already at that time, Christians were seen as evildoers, right? They're rumored, right? You're different, you're weird, you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a citizen or a subject of the Roman Empire. You're not worshiping and doing our little patronal festivals to the false gods, and you're weird. And are you a threat to the common order? Are you subversive in a bad way? And so there was a lot of suspicion while already seeing them as evil, so messed up, wrong, as a threat. But if you live in good works, that allays a lot of that. That says, are we the problem, or is it something else? And that can actually bring them into the church, and that's glorifying to God. Just their good testimony, good speech towards you, and even in light of that, them coming to the faith and joining you, both of that's good. And God's glorified in that, and his visiting, in his second coming. Submit yourself to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake. Again, we're living in a time where people are complaining about this right now. They don't want to. They think something's wrong if the main Christian reaction is to obey those in rightful authority. That's not right. It's good to do that, as long as it's not something that disobeys the Lord. This is fine. You need to obey for the Lord's sake, right? To a king, a supreme, or to governors, and all that. Human government's there to punish evildoers and praising of those that do well. And some philosophies ignore the punishment of evildoers and other ignores the praise for them that do well. And you need both in a healthy polity, and you need to be doing both. Um, and again, it seems different sides, at least in my context. There's a failure to do this, or it's selective, or it's inconsistent in how it's done, which is unfortunate. But again, we're dealing with sinners here. Um, Bearing out this way, being good citizens, right? Not worshiping the false gods, but just doing good things, being a good citizen, being a good neighbor. That puts to silence the ignorance of foolish men. The people that will speak badly of Christians, people will dismiss them because it's stupid. Right? It's obvious the way that the way they interact with Christians, that it's well. And it's important. Again, this is important. Why for this is points to the importance of church discipline, because not everybody can just call themselves a Christian if they are living in a way, believing in things that are totally antagonistic to the gospel, not doing these things Peter's talking about, or other things, because again, it besmirches and it actually um, amplifies and seems to vindicate the ignorance of foolish men. Um, but instead, we are free men, we are free people, regardless of what government we're under. And that freedom we don't use as liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as servants of God, right? It's for service, freedom for service, as Martin Luther would talk about. We're to honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. I mean, it's just a beautiful motto. It's very clear that we're supposed to, be honoring earthly authorities over us. And so, it's straightforward. Peter, right? Who would have guessed that Peter would be a straightforward teacher? Right? Of course, right? God knows. God knew he was choosing when he chose Peter. So I'll catch you all later, and I wish you a good evening and a good rest tonight.